Hello, my name is Nathaniel Eby. I grew up in church all my life. I was born again at the age of 5. At the age of 10, my best friend and I were riding across the road, and my best friend was hit by a car and killed. A couple months later, I was diagnosed with cancer. And between these two events, I had a lot of anger and hurt buried deep inside of me that I was not able to work through, or I didn't know how to work through. At the age of 15, I was given a juvenile citation for taking a DVD into a restroom of a convenience store, and I had several hours of community service that I had to do with that. I had a lot of embarrassment and anger toward that situation, and yet again I did not know how to work through these negative emotions. At the age of 24, I met the lady that would become my wife, and a few weeks before we got married, I pursued a sexual relationship with her, and our relationship was never the same after that. And I had a lot of anger toward myself for that, because I really believed that I doomed our relationship or our marriage from at that point. My wife and I fought through all the years of our marriage. A couple years in, I was struggling with depression, and I thought I was doing everything right. I was in the ministry. I was just trying to be the best husband that I could be, but I was struggling with depression and anger, and I could not figure out why I had all these emotions. I started seeing a counselor. She sent me to a doctor for ADHD. He put me on Paxil, and even 2 years into the Paxil, I was even more depressed than what I was to start off with. We moved to Missouri. I started seeing a new counselor and a new doctor up there. But, between all the different meds that they put me on, they still could not get the doses right. And at one point, I ended up being sent to the hospital on suicide watch. I just could not get my life straight. My life was a mess. My wife, she believed in me. She was supporting me throughout our entire marriage. She left with the kids to give me alone time to see if I could figure out how to change my life. But even by myself, I could not get my life straight. I was a mess to my kids. I could not be the father that I needed to be, and they were driving me up a wall, and I was getting angry at them for no reason. And I finally decided to get an apartment, and I moved out. And a couple months after I moved out, we ended up getting a divorce. My father told me about a pastor who had helped a friend of mine, and I agreed that I would go and see him. And a couple of weeks after that, I ended up losing my job and moved back to my hometown in Florida to be with my friends and family there. And the time came to go meet Pastor Basil, and I chose to go ahead and still continue with that. And I'm glad I did, because it was the best thing that has ever happened in my life. Like I said, I've gone through church all my life. I knew everything. I knew all the scriptures. I knew how I should live my life. But I never let it go to my heart. It was like they described the Pharisees. They knew the law, but they did not know the law in their heart. And being with Dr. Basil, he showed me the truth in ways that I'd never seen it before. And I also believe that God finally allowed me to be broken enough to actually hear the word this time and let it go to my heart. After a couple days being with Pastor Purcell, I began to see myself no longer as a failure and a nobody, but actually as a son of God and as a saint. Yes, I struggled with sin, but I am whole, and I'm a new person created in Christ Jesus. And from that point on, my life has continued to change. I've learned so much just from Dr. Purcell and the way that he presented the Word. And I'm looking forward to just spending time more in the Word and seeing what God will use me as I step out into the world.